Hey everyone, it's Mike Bonn with the Cash Flow Company, and today we're going to go over exactly what comes out of your pocket, what you need for every deal that you do that's a fix and flip. We know that lenders lend up to 90 to 85% of purchase, 100% of the rehab, but what else needs to come out of your pocket so you're well informed and you're ready for the transaction? On every flip or rental property you buy, there's an amount that the lenders will fund and there's an amount that you need to fund. The total amount we call the money bucket for that project. What goes into it from purchase price to rehab to carry cost to insurance, all of those things go into one bucket, and that's the total cost that you have for the project. Part of it's going to come from the lender. Part of it's going to have to come from you. When lenders talk about they fund 90% of purchase, 100% of rehab, it sounds like they're going to fund almost all the deal, but there's other costs that come into this that you're going to have to come out of pocket and make sure you're ready for, because if not, it stalls your project, it slows it down, and then you're going to look at a project that's going to bring less profit to you and maybe just become a headache. So we want to make sure you understand all the numbers that go into a good flip or even a rental property. Now, part of that starts with closing. You're going to get a closing statement from title, either a HUD-1 or a settlement statement, depends on where you're at and what you're doing. On that HUD-1, what you're going to find out is you're going to have to bring in so much money. When you start a project, you're going to put it down a deposit when you sign the contract. That is going to be part of what you're going to see in a HUD-1 settlement. When you're looking at this transaction, and we start with just with the lender, let's say a lender lends 90% of the purchase and 100% of the rehab. So in essence, it looks like all you have to do is bring in 10%. For an example, if we have a $200,000 property that you're buying and you're going to put $100,000 into rehab, it looks like you have to bring in $20,000 for closing, and that may be it. But there's other costs that the lender is not going to cover at closing that you're going to have to come out of pocket. So as mentioned, you're going to have to bring that $20,000 or the amount for the down payment on the purchase. But there are closing costs that the lender will charge you too. Typically a lender, you're going to see the fees for the appraisal, the credit, underwriting, all those things be somewhere between 1 and 2.5%. And that's 1 to 2.5% of the loan amount. So if you borrow, remember if we have a $200,000 purchase, we have $100,000 in rehab, we're going to borrow $180,000 for the purchase and $100,000 for the rehab. So that's a total of $280,000. So when I talk about 1 or 2% of the loan amount, that's what it's going to be based on, not on the purchase price. So now we know we have 10% down for the purchase, but then we're going to have either somewhere between, in this case, $2,800 to $5,600 that needs to go to the lender. On top of that, now we have title costs. Title costs on any transaction is typically half to 1% of the purchase price. In this case, we have a purchase price of $200,000. Title charges, which is going to include recording, title policies, closing costs, anything from FedEx charges and everything else they have. That's going to be somewhere between, like I said, 1/2 of 1% and 1%. This is a $200,000 purchase. You're looking at somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 you have to bring in for the title costs. A couple other costs you may come up with, depending on what area you are, is mortgage tax. That's anywhere between 0.5 point to 2 points, depending on the area you're in. Insurance. You're going to have insurance on the property. It's going to have to be paid up front. In any market, that's anywhere between $1,000 and $2,000. So all of these items are starting to add up. In this case, let's just take out mortgage tax because we don't have that in this state. In some of the states we do. But if we're talking about down payment, we're talking about lender's costs, we're talking about title costs, and now we're talking about insurance of, let's just say for this example, $1,500. Now we're going to add, if there was an appraisal, another $300 to $750. All of these items are going to come out of your pocket and not from the lender. For example, if we had the 2% charge for all the lender costs, which we're going to lump in the appraisal, the credit, all that into there. We had the 1% for title cost, including recording and government charges, and we had $1,500 on this project for insurance. We have a total of a little over $9,000 that has to come out of your pocket that the lender is not going to cover. Now, once you've closed the loan, now you're going to start the project. Most lenders in this market will only reimburse you for the work that you've done. So even though they have 100% of the escrow set aside for you to finish all the repairs, they're only going to fund you work that you've done. So you have to come out of pocket to do the first 1 to 2 draws just to keep the project going. If you want to keep the project going at a quick speed, you're probably going to have 1 or 2 draws. If, for example, we had a $100,000 budget like we estimated, and each draw, let's just say, is $15,000 per draw. you're going to have somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000 to make sure you pre-order the things that need to be here on time, that maybe take some time, like windows, doors, even some of the flooring and tile, and to pay for the contractors to start the work. Because most lenders are only going to give you money, reimburse you for things that are already completed on the property. So some of those items that you are ordering that are not in the property yet, they are not going to reimburse you for. Now in this case, if we're talking 2 draws, $15,000 each, one to buy the materials, one to get the project going before they start back funding you, that's another $30,000 that you have to put into this project above what the lender's going to give you. Yes, in this case, that $30,000 by the end of the project will all be reimbursed for you. It's going to still take that time. If it's 6 to 9 weeks for you to finish a project, you're going to be out those funds for somewhere between that 6 to 9 weeks. We have 2 more things you have to really consider when you're looking at what is going to take out of your pocket, real numbers, is monthly interest. On any kind of mortgage, you always pay interest in arrears. What that means is if you take out a loan June 1st, your June interest, June 1st through June 30th, is paid July 1st. So as long as you have that mortgage out, you're going to have to pay mortgage payments. Just to make things easy, let's just say that your interest rate is 12% because that's 1% a month. Now, if you have a loan for $280,000 and they're charging you interest on the full amount, some do, some don't, you could expect a payment of $2,800 every month coming out of your side, out of your savings. Once again, not part of what the lender will give you, but money that you need to finish this flip or BRRRR property. Now, let's look at some numbers with that. If you have a $280,000 loan, at the 12% interest, I know it's a little bit high, but it helps us in this actual example. At $2,800 a month, if you have it for 4 months, that's $11,200 that will come out of your pocket. So remember, we had closing costs. We had monies for draws just to get them going that will come back, and now we have interest. If you have HOA, once again, that will come out of your monthly bill. And if you have any overages, that will also have to come out of your side until you either sell it or refinance it. As you can see, it's not abnormal for someone who's doing a project like this to have to put in another $20,000+ just in other costs, but maybe up to $50,000 when you add in the draws. So you have to have those funds available in savings, or maybe a gap funded loan, or a HELOC, or a line of credit, or maybe it's just some credit cards, some business credit cards that you could actually draw cash off of above and beyond the cash limits of your credit cards. If you want to know that secret, just reach out to us. We can help you with that. We want to make sure when you're going into these projects, you understand exactly what you have to do to make them successful. Flips and even BRRRR are very successful the quicker you can get something done. If you delay these projects by slow escrows, by not getting the projects done, you could go another 1, 2, 3 more months getting the rehab done. You can miss markets, which means you could hit the market wrong and your property could sit on the market or the MLS for another 1 to 3 months. All of these things add up. All of these things take money out of your pockets. We want to make sure you make money at what you're doing. So you need to make sure you understand everything before you get in so you're not blindsided and you're borrowing money. We just had a client come in and he said that he paid 100% to someone for a loan to finish his project, meaning he borrowed $50,000 and gave someone $100,000 when it was done. He had enough margins to do it, but that's a high price to pay because he was not prepared with the proper, as we say, buckets of money on your side, the HELOCs, the business cards, or maybe setting up that gap funding up front, or working with a lender who will give you some of the draw up front. That's typically just a small local hard money lender, not one of the big Wall Street companies. If you have a deal you'd like us to price out, reach out to us. Our email is below. If you're looking to get the best deal on a hard money or private money loan, we have a great free tool below, the Loan Cost Optimizer. If you want to keep the money train rolling, we'll see you on the next video.